for having me, Xapa team. Yes, my name is Dia Bondi, and I'm going to start with a little story, which is we're here to talk about Ask Like an Auctioneer, and I want to start sort of with how it began. So for years and years, I co-conspired with my clients to leave money and opportunity on the table, and I had absolutely no idea I was doing it until I went to auctioneering school. This is a GIF of the very first auction item I ever sold after 10 days of auctioneering school. During a sabbatical a handful of years ago, I went to auctioneering school absolutely just for fun, like an experiment. I wanted to learn something completely outside of my regular domain. And I made good on a threat I had made at a dinner table years before and went to Missouri. And me and 100 cowboys for 10 days learned how to auctioneer everything from livestock to real estate to art to $5 box lots like you'd find at a garage sale. It was 100%, $100 better now two, would you give me two? And when I got home, after this little adventure, I turned that into what I think of as an impact hobby. And I started as an impact hobby doing fundraising auctioneering in and around the Bay Area, specifically targeted, I really wanted to do them for women-led nonprofits and nonprofits benefiting women and girls. It was a great chance to put on a gown, to hold a microphone, to have a playful interaction with a room and raise, sometimes tens, sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars for the nonprofits that support and advance women and girls in our community. And about 25 auctions into it, all of a sudden I saw how I had been helping my clients lowball themselves and undermine the asks that they were making in their careers, businesses, and life. And I launched Project Ask Like an Auctioneer. Oh, let me go back. Launched Project Ask Like an Auctioneer with a goal to help 1 million women and underrepresented people in their industries ask for more and get it. And importantly, use asking as a success strategy as they went to work through and toward their goals, using what I learned in this crazy little impact hobby I picked up in my 40s. So I want to share these ideas with you today. And I have to say that, I have had a rough week. I'm wondering if anybody else could tell me in the chat if they had a rough week. And I'm really happy to end my week on a Friday talking about these really fun and playful and empowered ideas for you. And I want to start with this stance that I like to use that helps create a big, huge space for us as we go to take the risk of asking big. And it goes like this. It might be something you've seen in and around the internet. It goes like this. You will be too much for some people. Those are not your people. Has anybody seen this before? You can let me know in the chat. You will be too much for some people. Those are not your people. What I love about this idea is that it gives us an enormous container for, yeah, great. Thanks for folks jumping in to the chat. This idea, this stance I like to take, gives us an enormous container and an invitation that when we see a misalignment between who we are and what we're doing and the asks that we're making and the rejections we get, that we don't have to internalize them, because it might just be exactly that, a misalignment between who you are, what you're doing, and the audience that you're talking to. Because in no way do I want to use rejection as an excuse to squeeze ourselves into an uncomfortable, tiny position so that we can aim and get a yes. So as I share the ideas with you today, we're going to hold this stance as true for ourselves so that we have the freedom to use the strategies I'll share with you today. So the goal for Ask Like an Auctioneer, which started as just a talk and a workshop and a handful of coaching circles, and is now a book and an audiobook available wherever you get your audio content, The goal was to help 1 million women and underrepresented people ask for more and get it, and use asking as a success strategy. And I want to just, this is not homework right now or a heavy lift, but just it might be useful for you to hold on to the question of like, what is one midterm and concrete goal you might have right now in your career and business? And if you hold on to that, you can take the ideas that I might share today and aim it at that very concrete thing. For me, one example might be, in this next year, I want to secure a relationship with a literary agent because I got my first book deal without a formal literary agent. That feels like a midterm and concrete goal. Maybe for you, you have something like get on a board or land your first $1 million client or something like that. Establish your voice and reputation in a particular market or domain. So hold on to that question of your concrete goal, because that might make what I'm going to share with you today a little bit more useful. So my hope today is that you get one idea that gives you the courage and control you need to ask for more when you go to make the asks that matter to the goal you may have just mustered for yourself. Now, I'm going to talk about money today, but money is really a metaphor for so many of the other kinds of asks that we make. When I do this work in my keynotes and workshops and coaching circles, people often take these ideas and immediately want to talk about money and negotiation. And while yes, we're going to talk about money today, because in auctioneering, that's what we're doing. We're selling an item or we're asking for direct donations at a fundraiser. But there are so many other kinds of asks that you might make along your path to your goals. Asks that grow your visibility or influence in a particular audience, market, domain, or network. Asks that put you in a position of owning decisions or more authority that you need in order to execute the goals that you might have. Whether it's from authoring your day and being in control of your time to being the one who signs the check or approves an initiative. And the third one, of course, is money. And that is all to do with investment. That's all to do with raises, bonus packages. It could have to do with discounts you're asking for that help you be able to afford or be able to say yes to a strategy you're doing. And the last one, I like to think of the asks that you might make that are about balance. And I don't mean work-life balance. I mean the kind of balance that brings into balance who you are and what matters to you and the work that you're doing every day. Maybe another word for you is alignment around that. There are all kinds of asks that we might make that bring those two things into balance. So we're living a life and a career and an impact story that is aligned to who we actually are. So this is not just about money. Now, I've been a leadership communications coach for many, many years, and in the way of every kind of pitch, even if it doesn't feel like a pitch, stories that are designed to create some sort of outcome or action. And I see, now that I went to auctioneering school and launched Project Ask Like an Auctioneer, I posit this, that we really hate doing it, and mostly we're doing it wrong, and that asking is one of the most overlooked and avoided success strategies, sometimes actively avoided success strategies out there. I want you to ask, and ask big enough you never leave any money or opportunity for those other three categories I mentioned ever again. So there it is. I want to share with you that we're going to do two things today. I'm going to share quickly with you, what do I mean by asking like an auctioneer? And then I'm going to give you a few little prompts that you can use to build a rock solid ask plan. Sometimes people say, oh, I love these ideas, Dia, but I don't have like a specific negotiation moment coming up. And I just want to call BS on that. You can order off the menu. Okay. We don't have to wait for that sit down with our manager. We don't have to wait for that sit down with a potential client. We can, or someone in your network, we can think about the asks that we want to have at the tip of our tongue, such that when we encounter the audience that ask might fit right for, boom, we don't have to even think about it. So who the heck am I? I'm Dia Bondi, longtime leadership communications coach. I really focus on helping transformational leaders find and use their voice to lead. I work with senior leaders inside of large organizations, as well as VC-backed founders, usually who are around Series B and beyond. I do teach some skills workshops as well, where we'll have a bigger mix of folks from, lots of different points across their career. And I've had the privilege of helping Rio de Janeiro win the right to host the 2016 Olympics, worked on a couple of other Olympic movement-oriented projects around the world for Lima, for the Commonwealth Games Federation, for Turkey's bid for 2020 games, which we lost to Japan, and working with brands that you recognize and maybe some that you don't. And yes, it is true that I am a fundraising auctioneer as an impact hobby. And these are the two worlds that crashed together, that showed me how I had been helping my clients leave money and opportunity on the table. You can see I put my hands on my head because I'm like, I pull my hair out all those years that I did it wrong. Anshu, I see your question there. We're going to get to that a little bit later, but I love that question. Hold on to that and remind me when we get to the other side of the ideas I can offer you to go for to ask for more. So my clients usually, here's how I saw like my two worlds come and crash together. My clients come to me when they need to make they need to speak powerfully at really critical moments. And for the profile of the folks that I mentioned a minute ago, that usually looks like investment. It looks like, head count, budget for big strategies, et cetera. And in my skills workshops, people make it a little bit more personal. They say things like a raise, or they say things like, opportunity to lead a highly visible project, to grow their influence in the organization. And once I understand what it is that they're asking for, what is it that you're asking for, I have to know that. If we're going to put together a compelling story for you to tell for 12 minutes in front of an audience, or at a 40-minute keynote, industry keynote, or whatever, I got to know where we're going with your story. So once I get the what, then I need to understand, okay, great, but how much? And this is when I am often not met with a real concrete answer, but instead I'm met with a whole bunch of hand wringing, like piles of hand wringing. And people are like, well, I don't know. I'm not exactly sure. I mean, I have an idea, but it seems kind of crazy. So maybe, I need 12 headcount to put this team together, but they'll never go for that. So I'm going to ask for 8. Or maybe I'm not really sure. Let me talk to that. Maybe I'm not well. And then they'll come back to me with this question, which is, Dia, what do you think I can get? And for years, I was like, yeah, what do you think you can get? If you think you can get 8 head count for this team and they'll never go for 12, let's ask for 8. Let's go for it. And then they go ask for it and they get it. And we thought we were awesome. We basically, what we're doing is we're asking in order to get a yes. And that feels great. Yes feels great. And for years, it made me feel like we were winning. We got those 8 heads. But that's actually not what we do as auctioneers. So here's how I think about this relationship. On the horizontal axis, you've got courage. And on the vertical axis, you've got an ask. And I've seen over and over and over and over and over again, I've estimated that in my years doing this work in communications, I've executed close to like 7,000 private coaching sessions. And it's a lot. And I've seen over and over again, there's this sort of relationship between an ask and courage. And we can basically muster enough courage that is directly related to the size of the ask, we're pretty sure we can get a yes to. Now, for the sake of simplifying it, let's just imagine it's a one-to-one relationship. Okay, if I'm going to make a 10-unit ask, and I can pretty much muster 10 units of courage if I'm pretty sure the ask I'm going to make is going to get, let me go back, is going to get a yes. So in that way, the size of the ask is held hostage by that word yes. If I'm 80, maybe for you, it's like I'm 80% sure they're going to say yes, I can muster 10 units of courage. No, for somebody else, it might be like, I got to be 100% sure they're going to say yes, or I can't muster those 10 units of courage. In that way, the size of the ask is equal to the guarantee that we're going to get. Now, why don't we ask for more? All those little increments that are above the pretty guaranteed yes. We don't ask for those because those asks, all those asks above a pretty or 100% guaranteed yes, live in a place I like to call the zone of freaking out. And if you don't like that, I like to use the shorthand, which I call this place the ZOFO. The ZOFO is where we don't know what they might say. The ZOFO gives you that little feeling you might have in your gut that says to you, how dare you? Who do you think you are? You're going to ruin everything. What are you, nuts? They're going to laugh you out of the room. It tells you all kinds of icky and evil things, and it might have a very specific feeling related to it for you. For me, the ZOFO feels like an ice cold penny that I've swallowed, and it's just sitting right below my heart and right above my sternum. For you, it might be a flash of heat over the back of your neck, or a little flush feeling in your throat, or it might feel like a little anxiousness in your belly. The zone of freaking out, though, is where all the potential is. We're not sure what they might say. And here's the thing. As you get further out into the far edges of the zone of freaking out, absolutely, there is a spot way out there where there is actually a no. But if we go all the way out there and we touch that no, and then yes, Uday, I hear that one. Yeah, you're feeling like your big ask might be an insult. I've got chapters to address that very thing. So we're gonna touch that no, and I'm gonna use this word once, I don't use it very often, negotiate or step down to a yes that works for them, but is still the maximum amount that is possible in that ask. When we touch the no and then step down from it, we know we've left no money or opportunity on the table. And that's exactly what we do as auctioneers. As an auctioneer, I actually have to get a no, because the no lets me know I've maximized the potential of the ask. The no lets me know I've touched the ceiling of what's possible. The no for us is great news. If I didn't go for a no, it would be the same as me opening a bid for this fabulous leather jacket I'm wearing today and saying, opening the bid at $100, who's in it $100, and having somebody put their paddle in the air and me instantly saying, yes. If I look for that no and I find it, it's great news. It tells me, there it is, maximum potential. And then I sell it for a click beneath that. Now, I want to show you this in real time. Would y'all like to see it? Let me know. I'm going to show you a video clip of me doing this very thing. Would you like to see it? Tell me in the chat. Right? You can't help it. You want to see it. Yeah, everybody wants to see it. Okay, so this is a live auction for Kala Art Institute. They're here in the San Francisco Bay Area, in the East Bay in Berkeley. They've been around for a very, very long time. I think it's their 50th, and I'm going to be doing their auction in April. You all should come and buy fabulous art. There's a silent auction and a live auction. This is the live part from a few years ago. This piece of art is from an artist named Kota Azawa. We have another of their pieces actually in this year's live auction. And this is like the end of, I think we had like 12 lots that year. This is maybe like the second to last or the last lot. The clip is about 1 minute long. And I want to say also that I am not a great auctioneer, everybody. So calm down. I'm not a great auctioneer. I am a good enough auctioneer. And sometimes good enough is friggin' good enough. So I'll just give myself that disclaimer right off the bat. Now, here's what I want you to notice. As I go through this clip, I want you to notice what it is that I ask for and what I end up getting, okay? And I'm gonna ask you for your response in the chat when we get to the other end. Everybody ready? Turn up your volume, but not too high. Here we go. I hope this works.
42, jump into 46, 42, 46, 42, 46, 46, 45. Are you in at 45, sir? 42, 45, looking for 46, 46, looking for 47, 46, looking for 47 here. She's in at 46, looking $4,700 here. 47, looking for 48, 47, just looking for $4,800, 48, looking for 4,900, 49, looking for 5,000, 49, looking for 5,000. He's in at 49, he's got it at 49, looking for $5,000 here. 49, looking for 5,000. He's in right now at $4,900. Are you in at 5? 5, looking for 51. 5, looking for 51. 5, are you in at $5,100 here? She's got it at 5,000. Looking for 51. She's got it at $5,000. Looking for $5,100. Yes, who is she? Go ahead and look. $5,000. $5,100. Are you out, sir? $5,000. All in right now. Sold. $5,000. You've got it. You're bitter now.
Okay, everybody tell me good job. Tell me good job in the chat. Say good job, Dia. Good job. Because I'll tell you what, that is super hard. It's so hard, everybody. It's so hard. It's just numbers, but boy, it's hard. I did an auction for them a couple of years ago. No, 2 years ago maybe. And I lost my numbers right in front of Nyan McAvoy. I literally was like, $100 bidder now 2, $100 bidder now 2. He's got it at 2, looking for 3. It wasn't 3, it was a couple of $1,000. And I was like, wait, where am I? Literally lost my numbers. Anyway, okay, what did I ask for? What was the last ask I made? What was the number for the last ask I made? 51. Thank you. Thank you. Yep. What did I sell it for? Yes. Yes. I got a no, and I settled for just a click right beneath that.
But you couldn't get the 4,600 when you did that big jump. So that was, that's interesting psychology.
So there's a chapter in there, I call it incrementing matters. So that's very interesting. You point to that, and yeah, I could go on with that forever, but when I was doing $400 increments, the gentleman who was in at 46, no, he was at 42. He wasn't in at 46. So he went down to 100 increments, and he blew right past 46 and stayed with me all the way until 49 or till 5. She wanted at 5, but he was in at 49. So we don't know, we don't know what people will do. To your point about insulting people with an outrageous ask, I am going to share an idea in a second that might be resonant for that, but let's just say your outrageous is not their outrageous, and their outrageous is not yours. We have no idea what people will say or people will do. And that gives us the freedom to go ahead and ask with empathy, with connection and rapport, with dignity in your ask. And a recognition that sometimes when you make a big, strong ask and somebody can say, no, not that, but how about this? You are, with your ask, very often creating opportunity for both of you to engage in something meaningful. So,
42, jump into 46.
These always play a second time when I want to go to. So here's what we do as an auctioneer. We ask in order to get a no. And that's what I want you to do. I want you to at least consider what might it mean for me to ask in order to get a no. Now, I know that you're not in competitive bidding situations all the time. Like maybe you are multiple clients bidding for your time at the same time. That might happen once, twice in a lifetime. But you do have the opportunity not to design your ask based on what do I think I can get, and then get that yes, give yourself a high five, and not know that you'd left hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of dollars, huge bandwidths of people's time, attention, all the yeses you could have gotten above that. So this is what it means to ask like an auctioneer. Now, that's some scary stuff for some people. I scare myself regularly, and I recognize that not every ask you'll make is a Zofo ask. You won't ask like an auctioneer every time, but we want to ask ourselves, is this a moment when I might just go ahead and ask like an auctioneer? And if it is, and you are squarely in your Zofo, you got to actually make the ask, and that's hard to do because the Zofo is so darn Zofo-ish. And you will always have a Zofo. As I look back at the asks I've made in my career, I look at them and I'm like, God, they look like baby asks now. But I have a new Zofo. It's bigger and different and brighter and has different characteristics. Still feels like I swallowed a frozen penny, but it's changed with me. Your Zofo is like the horizon. The more you walk toward it, the more it walks away from you. It travels with you and grows with you. So the point isn't how should I squash my Zofo? How do I get rid of it? The question is, how do I get into it when it feels so Zofo-ish? Because I'm going to accept I'll always have one. So I want to share with you a couple of ideas to help empower the ask you might make. You are already empowered to make it. I'm saying you need to empower your little ask with three. I'm going to share 3 of the 9 ideas that I learned from the auctioneering stage to help me and help you go ahead and step into your Zofo. Great. Christine says, I feel like I live in the Zofo for Xapa. It's not really that fun. Yeah. Fair enough. Fair enough. It's not really that fun. And I think that's why I say, yes, great. Angie said, remember you wanted that Zofo. It's so true. That's why last week I'll say I did something very Zofo-ish for myself. And it was actually a very positive thing. It was a big decision I made that was like an incredible reward for a decision I'd made 4 years ago. Like I was kind of bringing that decision I'd made multiple years ago full circle with a decision I was making on Sunday. And I recognized, oh my gosh, this is such a Zofo moment for me. I feel in my Zofo. I spent the second half of the day taking care of myself, Christine, because these are acts of vulnerability for us, right? So it's not all just like, let's go do it. It feels like that in the beginning, giving yourself a pep talk. But I don't want to underestimate how powerful it can be to spend time in your Zofo, even if it's just around a really acute moment in a day. So self-care, I'll use that word. Self-care is a critical portion of stepping into your Zofo when it matters. Now, I'm going to share with you 3 of the ideas that I share in the book and in the audiobook to help you step into that Zofo in a way that maybe feels more like curiosity and delight, Christine, instead of sheer pain. So number 1 idea is this. People are irrational. People are irrational. If you don't like that, we probably have a lot of data-driven decision makers on the call. I got it. You know, you make data-driven decisions, but people are irrational. Or if you don't like that, you can think of it like this. Your rationale for what they might say or should say yes or no to is not their rationale for what they might say yes or no to. I've seen this. This is just an idea I stole and grabbed from the world of auctioneering. We would sit down. Yesterday, I had an auction meeting with a client, and we were like wanting to game out over and over again what we should open the bid at, what it's probably worth, what it's going to go for. And I've just given up on that. I stopped the conversation yesterday because I was like, guys, it never works out the way we think. So many times, I don't remember here's an example. A couple of years ago, I did a fundraising auction for a Parks Conservancy here in the Bay Area. And I sold at auction a 1-night camping trip for the buyer and 11 of their friends for $55,000. Twice. We doubled it. So for a 2-night camping trip for 2 groups of 12 people, we got $110,000. I was shocked, and it seemed so irrational to me. I opened the bid at like 12 or 15,000, and I thought, man, if this thing goes for 20, it'll be a miracle. And it did not. I have no idea what people will say yes or no to. So I've kind of given up. I mean, we want to like game it out a little bit, but in the end, you have no idea. So.
Right. You had said something, Dia, that really stuck with me when I heard you the last time, and it was about what you value isn't what somebody else values.
We're going to get there. Yes.
Yeah. It's so profound.
It's like, it's a piggyback on this idea. Like we can step into our Zofo because we have no idea. Stop trying to decide what other people are going to say yes or no to. I have a friend that says, yeah, stop shopping from your own wallet. Okay. So idea number 2. And when I remember, like, I mean, I write proposals and send them off and I feel in my Zofo and I'm like, and it's not just about the money. Sometimes it's about the scope or what other things I'm asking for embedded in the proposal around my communications work or around my speaking business. And I am like, Dia, people are, their rationale for what they might say yes or you have no idea. So just send, and it helps me send, it helps me push send. And that's the key, what puts you into action. This idea number 2 is a little less fun and sexy, but very important. We've got to know our reserve and we can decide it ahead of time. So in an auction prep meeting, we're looking at art or camping trips, whatever we're selling, and we're asking ourselves, what's the minimum we'll say yes to? I might open the bid at $1,000, but we've decided ahead of time that if it doesn't get $2,500 or doesn't get $5,000, we're not selling it. I just elegantly take it out of the auction real time if it doesn't meet that reserve. Now, the beauty of deciding our reserves ahead of time is that it helps us feel less held hostage by the answer we get, because then we can ask ourselves, well, if I don't meet my reserve, what might I do? People ask me all the time, well, that's great, Dee. I love the idea of asking for more and asking like an auctioneer, but what do I do if I don't even meet my reserve? And my answer is always like, I don't know. What do you want to do? What do you want to do? Do you want to go back and reconsider your reserve? Do you want to say, no, thank you, it's been so wonderful? Do you want to change your ask to something else, a totally different backup ask? Do you want to leave? What do you want to do? And so when we consider that, then the no that we get doesn't feel like a cul-de-sac, but maybe more like a speed bump on our way, because you're going to have a million other asks you'll make along your path to your goals. I love identifying my reserve ahead of time, and in combinations with different increments. And I'm not going to get into that today too much, but the idea that maybe an ask you make has multiple components. It has scope, it has price, it has level of engagement, it has who you might be working with, it has who's participating in your board along with an investment. Like, it might have lots of different components. Cool. Idea number 3, and Christine, this is the one that you like so much. It goes like this: price is a measure of value, not your worth. And this I grabbed also from my experience auctioneering. I sold at auction a few years ago a daguerreotype, which is like a fancy type of photography development. And I'm not an art nerd, so I may have ruined that. But it was a daguerreotype, not really big, but it was supposed to be worth $10,000. And in the room, it went for like $4,500. Why? Because that's what the people in the room valued it at. Now, it might feel like I'm mincing words, and I am willingly, because in our culture right now, there's so much narrative around getting paid what you're worth, getting paid what you're worth. And I want you to get paid what you're worth. I want you to have the investment that you're worth. I want you to have the clients that you're worth. I want all that for you. But sometimes when we conflate our sense of worth or the word worth and worthiness with the asks that we make, rejection means so much, it's harder to go for that rejection. So I want to uncouple them and say it like this: price, or what somebody will pay or do, is a way to see what they value and how they value it, not a way to measure or define your worth or worthiness. We're not going to load up the answers that we get with the meaning and way to define our own worthiness. Look, I will never carry a Birkin bag. You will never see me carrying a Birkin bag. I don't even know how much they are. But to me, no value. To somebody else, huge value. So I love this because it gives us the freedom to make the big ask and take the answers we get as a way to see what somebody values and how they value it, and then take that information and help us tell a more compelling story next time, or learn a little bit more about that profile so that we can set up our story better to a proxy for that profile going forward, or to learn about whether our ask is super misplaced in that context or not. All these asks are great learnings. Now, I'll just share that Lorena the Brave, this is a woman that was in the How I Write Books, and I'm almost done, everybody. I've got like another minute or two. How I write books is I put the idea out in front of a live audience and I workshop it until it turns into a formal talk. And then I workshop it until it turns into a workshop. And then I workshop that until I know exactly what ideas are important to people, questions that come up, etc. See how it all works. Then I write a book. Lorena was in my very first audience where I tested the ideas of asking like an auctioneer, just with the idea that I wanted that audience to tell me, should I keep going or is this total crap? And people in the back of the room were like, keep going at the end of the day, which was great. And Lorena was there. She snuck out the back and she never introduced herself to me. But she did a few days later tweet this at me. She said, I just asked like an auctioneer and I feel like I'm going to puke. But she knew that I knew what she really meant, which was, I just asked like an auctioneer and I feel like I'm doing something courageous. I'm standing up for my dreams for myself and I'm asking for more so I can reach my goals faster. Lorena and I are still friends and connected. And she's taught these ideas actually to her daughter, who's this super tenacious, I think she's probably 17 now, equine photographer and high school student who charges for her services and is a beautiful artist. And they both now regularly help each other step into their own zones of freaking out as a mother-daughter duo. And Lorena effectively used these ideas to really grow her own career and has seen that it's empowering and eye-opening when you can make a big, strong ask and understand that people are irrational, that I know exactly what my reserve is, so I'm safe. And I understand that the answer that I get is a way I can see what they value and how they value it, and not a comment or commentary on my worth or worthiness. And she's effectively 3x'd her life in the time that in the last 4 years, going from being a recruiting coordinator to now head of people operations for an augmented reality gaming company that focuses on gaming, which to me, as a Latina at that time, single mom, in that role, running all recruiting and using her lens, it has a huge impact because gaming has been a place that has been historically hostile toward women. So all she has to do is be herself. And this is what I mean by wanting to really help women, underrepresented folks in positions where they have more decision-making power and money, using these ideas so that we can have a bigger impact for all of us. She didn't ask, what am I worth? She asked, and she does over and over again now, is it worth it to me? Is the counteroffer I'm getting worth it to me? And I made an ask when I was, 26. That changed, which was like a long time ago. I'll be 50 next month. That really changed everything for me. And the ask was very simple. It wasn't for a job. It was essentially, will you teach me? I knew the ask was, will you make me your apprentice? And I was totally sure he was going to say no. Like, so Zofish, I can still, that ice cold penny just burns right through my gut. And he said yes. He said yes, and I was on a friggin' airplane 5 minutes later, and it changed everything for me. So I love this quote from this woman, Frankie, who was in one of my sessions. She sent this in a feedback form, which I think is so cool. She said, I've never been so excited to set myself up for rejection, which is great. So yes, you will be too much for some people. Those are not your people. Now, the question then becomes, all right, great idea. How do I actually put this into action with the asks that I might have in front of me? So let's play a little bit with this ask plan. I'm going to give you a link to it later in the deck, but it goes like this. If you want to, you ask like an auctioneer, and if you want to figure out what might I ask for, how might I put together a rock solid plan, I'm going to give you the first 4 steps. Number 1, we want to get really clear on what that goal is. What is that midterm concrete goal? Okay, fine. That's table stakes. We know what it is. For me, it's, I'll use the examples I used before. Find and secure a relationship with a literary agent. For you, it might be, something else. Like an investment or landing that biggest client on the books for you. And then you'll ask yourself, what is the big move I need to make that gets me closer to that goal? We're not worrying about the asks quite yet, because you might need to make all kinds of moves that get you toward that goal. For me, it might be that one of the big moves I need to make is I need to secure 3 national media pieces in the 2024 year to elevate my profile and make myself more appealing to the literary agents I want to be approaching. Maybe for you, one of the big moves is to be the opening keynote at an industry event. I don't know what it might be for you, but we're not going to the ask quite yet. We're asking, what's the goal? What's the next big move, or one of the big moves I need to make? Then we ask ourselves, what is the ask I could make? What might I ask for that helps action that move that gets me closer to my goal? And then to ask ourselves this lovely question, which is, what is the Zofo version of that ask? How might I make it big enough so that you invite a little bit of beautiful rejection? So I hope these ideas for you have brought you to a place where you could actually hold this quote, that you might not be so afraid of rejection, but that you're excited to set yourself up for one. Now, I'll just put this here. I'm going to X out of this so that I can see everybody for questions and answers. But understand that, like, if you go to asklikeanauctioneer.com right now, you can get that ask plan that I just gave you a little tiny preview of. It's actually 6 steps. It's not hard, but now that you know the idea of Zofo, you can use it right now. You don't need to